Phil leans back and laughs for 3 seconds, then leans in, fixes his man perm.
War never changes.
All right, welcome back to episode number 3 of War Never Changes. Joined as always with Mr. Phil. How are you doing today, Phil?
Doing fantastic, buddy. How are you?
I am doing phenomenal. You know, we've gotten to a point in our friendship where there's a lot of things we talk about because we talk a lot, either through Marco Polo or through text or when we're playing games at night. And I feel like we're getting to that point where, and I haven't done it yet, but you even texted me. You said, should we not have this conversation now? Should we save this for the podcast? So I try in my head as to when we're putting these ideas together and texting back and forth of things that I think would be interesting. And it's not that I ever would say, stop, don't talk about it. We must save it for YouTube. But it does cross my mind more often than not. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just an observation I have.
Okay.
So it's been a pretty busy week for gaming. We had a lot of crazy announcements earlier this week. We got to see a little bit of the new Tony Hawk remastered game. We got to see Unreal Engine 5. And then today was a PlayStation deep dive of Ghosts of Tsushima. Did you get to see Ghosts gameplay at all by any chance?
Nope.
Are you a fan of Assassin's Creed? I think you said no, but I don't remember.
I'm a fan. Yes. Yes. I've beaten every game in the series,
Then you will like this game.
including the weird China offshoot expansion thing.
Oh, the side-scrolling one? Did you play India?
Yes, all of
It's
them.
identical. I mean, China and India is the same. It was made by a different studio, but okay, you did. All right. I actually like those a lot because it was like stealth light. I don't remember any of the story. I blew right through it. I just wanted to run around and kill people, but it was fun. So you would like Ghost then because it really does remind me a lot of Assassin's Creed, like significantly. A lot of stealth and open world and really cool combat. I think it's PlayStation exclusive, which PlayStation's the best, as we agreed to. I don't know how many times now.
No.
Oh, poking that bear. Look at now he's leaning. You were leaning back, and now you're kind of like, what'd you say?
I want you to know that my back has never left this chair. I have not leaned forward once.
I
This
know.
is what it looks like when I lean forward.
You look at a beautiful face. Oh my goodness. All right, so I guess the first thing I want to talk about, since we don't really have a script per se, we started to talk a little bit about this before, was our love for Tony Hawk.
Absolutely.
My question for you, I don't think I asked you this, so this will be a fresh question. You know I'm a big collector's edition guy. Like, I'm obsessed with collector editions. The collector's edition for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is an actual physical skate deck. Doesn't come with the wheels or anything, but it's an actual skate, like, I don't know, regulation size, whatever the hell that means, but you could actually go out and buy wheels and go skate on it. And I bought it.
Is it a birdhouse board?
It is. It is. It's like a limited edition. It's got the new logo on it. It's signed, not really. It's like stenciled on by Tony Hawk's signature, and it's got a unique deck that I actually remember from the game. It's one of the Tony Hawk unlockable, bird designs that I recognized it immediately. I will never skate with it. I've never skated in my life, but I did find. But I had to have it. You don't understand it. I needed it in my life, and I watched Amazon like a hawk for, I don't know, 2 or 3 days waiting for it to pop up so I could pre-order it, which I did. So I have it now. I mean, I will eventually when it comes out in September.
What's the price point on that?
$100.
That's it?
Yeah. So the game is 50. I'm sorry, the game is 40 or 50, depending on if you get the deluxe edition, which includes some DLC, like different shirts and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's a good price for a skateboard, but I've found a kit online where you can actually mount it to the wall. So
I've got that. I've got a skateboard deck that I have to mount to my wall. Now it sounds like I need another one.
you do? What do you have a skateboard of?
Do you mind if I go grab it?
I don't mind at all. I'd love to see it. This will be what we call a jump cut.
This is my favorite band. They're called Parkway Drive. They're from Byron Bay, Australia. And this is number 81 out of 100 to commemorate the 10-year anniversary of their first album. Yeah, man, I'm big into the collector's editions too. Every game that I buy that I'm excited about, if it has a collector's edition, I buy that shit. Like right here, I actually use this stuff in my daily life.
What the hell is that? I mean, I know what the game is. What is that? A bag? What?
It's the safe bag that came with Grand Theft Auto 5. It's an actual locked, like you can't rip this material bag.
What do you put in there?
What do I put in here? I put my prescriptions in there.
Oh.
Because I have narcotic painkillers.
So no one can steal them. Is that a key? You have to use the key to open it?
I actually do have the key. The key's pretty cool looking too.
I didn't realize. I shouldn't say I didn't realize GT. Look at that. Oh my goodness. You have all this. So did you buy the Assassin's Creed Valhalla Collector Edition?
No. No interest.
That one.
No interest.
You just said you liked Assassin's Creed.
I love Assassin's Creed. I just have no interest in the stuff that comes with this collector's edition.
Okay. So you want practical things for your collector edition?
No, like, not always. There's just, I don't want to sound sexist, but it's going to sound sexist no matter what I say. But if you were in my man cave / office, I've got a lot of like carvings of bears and tiki mugs and like little toy chainsaws. There's not a whole lot of like female figurines standing around in here. I got
carvings of bears.
I got the Witcher emblem necklace just hanging from one of my light sconces that came with the collector's edition. So there's not really a whole lot of room for like a female just chilling in here.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, that doesn't sound sexist at all.
You know what? I don't care. I don't like it. She doesn't appeal to me. I'm sorry. Like, I'm gonna play the game. I'm gonna obviously play the game, and she's probably a huge badass. But there's gonna be like the all the different collector's editions I have of Call of Duty and all these like guys with machine guns, and then some chick on a boat.
So you're saying if it was a guy, you would have bought it?
No, not interested in it.
Not at all. Sure.
No, it looks dumb. Like just standing there on the front of the boat.
Phil, I'm debating getting it, and you're telling me it's dumb? I don't know, man. You don't think it looks cool?
What do you mean debating getting it? If you want it, get it, Jim.
I just debate with myself. I mean, I just, That's what she said. No, I looked at it and it didn't wow me, but then I thought about it and I was like, okay, it's kind of cool. I feel like I talk myself into stuff and then I look at it and I go, I feel like I need it. And then I go, I don't need it. And then I run on by it.
Here's the thing with me and Assassin's Creed.
Tell me all about it.
The real reason that I don't want it has nothing to do with the fact that it's a woman. That was just kind of like a cheap excuse.
Oh, I know. I was just joking. I know. Yes.
Well, I don't care if you were joking or not. I mean, what I said sounded very sexist and short-sighted, and I understand that. But the real reason is after Ezio went away, I absolutely fell in love with Ezio's character. That's when I was introduced to the series. I went back and I played the first one that came before Ezio. Then
Altair is my favorite guy, number one.
Altair, yes. And then Ezio came, and I fell in love with his character. I fell in love with the environment. And ever since then, they don't feel like... The Ezio series felt like it had depth and heart. And the ones that came out afterwards, with the exception of Black Flag, they just feel like an excuse for Ubisoft to charge me $60 a year. I buy them and I play them, but I don't fall in love with them. So what I did is I stopped buying the collector's editions. unless the only way for me to get the Steelbook was the collector's edition, which thankfully that hasn't been the case to my direct recollection. But I always get the Steelbook, and if I can avoid getting the collector's edition, I will. But if I have to, I will. But I'm not going to give Ubisoft $200 a year for, kind of a half-assed game like I felt like some of them were.
I'm a big fan of Black Flag as well. That's one of my favorite games, I think, ever. That was actually the first game ever platinumed on PlayStation.
Really?
Yeah. It blew me away just sailing around and, going to these weird places and exploring. And it was funny, though, because the guy wasn't even an assassin, but that's okay. We don't care.
I didn't need him to be, though.
Yeah.
The character development in that story was phenomenal. Like even the Jackdaw I felt like had more personality than some of the people, like the protagonists from some of the other, and that was just a wooden ship, an old wooden ship, to quote Anchorman. But yeah, so now I don't give Ubisoft $200 a year like I used to.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. I mean, I'm with you. It's funny because I was a big fan of Assassin's Creed up until the new ones, and even though they really changed the recipe, I never finished them, and I never really related to any of the characters. Definitely in Origins, I didn't care about that guy at all. Bayek, I just kind of checked out. Odyssey, I think there's too much to do, and it just started to feel kind of meaningless.
Mm-hmm.
So I never actually finished that game either. I did play with Cassandra, though. I didn't play with Alexios.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if what's this about this one or not. Maybe because it's Vikings and it's different. I mean, I'm Greek descendancy, so if anything, you think Odyssey would be the one that Spartan pride, But in my family, I looked it up because I really wanted to be from Sparta, but my family's from Athens. It was kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
Family tree. I'm like, I know I'm a Spartan warrior. It's like Athens. Aww.
You don't exactly look like Gerard Butler, but I guess that's okay. What did I call you? A bacon wrapped corn dog?
I was gonna say we gotta go back to our cold open last week where Phil gave me a critique of my manly physique. Okay, so
I'm not doing any better over here, buddy. Everyone can tell, unless you're blind. If you are blind, I want to let you know I am a fat man.
There's a lot of food to go around, and I've had my fair share. I'll just say that. I've done my part.
But it also goes back to series like Far Cry that I just love the Far Cry series. I really do. I came in, I believe it was Far Cry 2. I always come in on 2. I don't know why. Red Dead Redemption, I didn't play Red Dead Revolver first. I came in on Red Dead Redemption. I came into Far Cry on Far Cry 2 when you're in Africa, and just having to figure out all that craziness and deal with having to take malaria pills, hook, line, and sinker. And I've loved the series. And then Far Cry New Dawn came, and I felt like vomiting.
I didn't play that game yet. Okay, it's not I was almost gonna buy. It was on Best Buy on sale last week, and I didn't get it.
No. Did you play Far Cry 5?
I did.
It's the same, except everything's overgrown.
Just a seed, and I had a great time doing it.
Yeah, no, I loved Far Cry 5. I did. But Far Cry New Dawn, it's just that game, but there's I guess more overgrown shrubbery and some white irradiated deer. Not a whole lot more.
It's the same map, right? I mean, that was the idea. It was the same map after the events of Far Cry 5, without getting into any spoilers. But okay, gotcha. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Okay, maybe I don't need to play it then. I don't know. I felt like I was missing out by not getting it on sale. It was $10, and I was like, come on, $10, but I don't want. If you really want to play vomiting.
If you really want to play it, I'll ship it to you, and then you won't have to invest anything.
That's right. Ship me your games. Let's go. So I was waiting for a reaction. Okay. Don't send it to me. I'll buy it. If I want it, I'll buy it. Maybe if we start playing it, we'll get into it.
I give you my Netflix login. You don't think I'll email you a video game that I don't give a shit about? I trust you to send it back.
We've been watching. Yeah, I told you we watched Fuller House and then Too Hot to Handle, and now we're back to Disney Plus watching Be Our Chef, which I love. Very wholesome programming.
Be our chef.
what I really wanted to talk about this week was Elder Scrolls Online. Now, I think I said this in last week's video. I can't remember. Everything's blending together. But it was you, Mr. Phil, who got me back into Skyrim because I was definitely not interested in it. I started playing it. I blew through Dawnguard in a very short amount of time. I haven't touched it since because I've been so obsessed with Elder Scrolls Online.
Mm-hmm.
From a perspective of somebody who does not or has not ever played an MMO, what do you think about Elder Scrolls Online?
Does Neopets count as an MMO?
Neopets?
You don't remember Neopets? That was my childhood.
I'm gonna look up a picture. Oh, okay. No.
Yes, you played Neopets. We all played Neopets.
I did, but I didn't know the name. As soon as I saw the one little horse guy, I was like, yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about. I was thinking like Club Penguin for a second, but yes, I do remember Neopets, but I would not count that as an MMO.
Okay, so I've never actually played an MMO. I am really enjoying it, but folks, my experience is augmented because I have a legitimate video game expert playing with me, who is genuinely inquisitive and does his homework. So he goes, "You're such a douche. I'm trying to give you a genuine compliment."
Oh, sorry, I didn't know the camera was still on.
I think Chloe's back there pissing herself. Made you look, bitch.
You're so proud of yourself.
Oh, well, that's what you get for that. I have Jim playing with me, and Jim studies, he figures stuff out, and then I don't have to do anything. He just tells me, so this is what we're going to do, and it's going to make your character way better. And I'm like, great, you spent 7 hours figuring that out, and I benefited from it in 30 seconds. So he's also my healer, so I can just swing sword and board with reckless abandon. And I don't have to worry about anything unless Jim just decides to randomly, without warning me, run towards 2 griffins while we're level 6. Oh my god, how many times did we get our asses kicked?
You can't stand in the red poop. It was a circle. Don't stand here. And where were you standing? In the circle. And
Jim.
Guess what happened?
Jim, I couldn't move out of the way fast enough. I have to get close to them to hit them. I'm not like magic guy out here like shooting beams.
That's actually how I cast magic spells in the game, my guy.
Yeah. So he's criticizing me for being up close to them, doing melee, and he's like back there in the background just casting spells. Like, you got to get out of the way. Yeah, no shit. You had a 10-second head start.
Drinking a beer, like, hey, how's it going out there? Oh, it looks like it ain't going so good. Bye.
Oh, I'm not a magica. Fuck.
See ya. So you did touch on something that I do agree with, and it's really that MMOs in general are a major time commitment if you want to play them. I don't want to say well, but if you want to get the most out of your character. And they're designed that way because typically MMOs, subscription-based games, they want you to get invested in their world. They want you to log in every day to do dailies. They want you to log in every day to do quests and build up your character. And it's a lot to take in. If you took away just the crafting piece of things and just talked about your base character, the amount of stuff you have to do to understand how skills unlock, how they work, which ones should you use, it's really overwhelming.
I would say that your assistance has made it so that it's not overwhelming, but I did, when you showed me the map and I realized how long it takes us. So the map I thought was a decent size, not huge or anything, certainly not like Grand Theft Auto 4 or 5, but probably closer in size to Grand Theft Auto 3. I thought Northern Elsewhere was a pretty good sized map. It was taking us a while to get around. It takes a while to walk anywhere or even mount and ride somewhere. And then we expanded to all of Tamriel.
It's huge.
And the idea
just gets bigger and bigger.
Me that we're going to be playing this for years.
Which is good because Bethesda's not making Elder Scrolls 6 until like I'm 40 something probably.
I was 21 when Skyrim came out. I will be in my 30s by the time Elder Scrolls 6 comes out.
The world is huge. It's very easy to level up a character in an MMO and not really see everything, and that's why a lot of people make alternate characters because they like to just start from a different area. Because I mean, you could be a completionist, and maybe we will. We'll go do every single quest. We'll go in every zone, kill every enemy, but it's a lot. I was looking on the wiki earlier. There's 28 main quests in the first area we're in. We've done like 5. 28 quest lines. That and there's like another 120 or 130 side quests of like, hey, go rescue my dog or go kill 3 orcs in the chicken coop or whatever. That don't necessarily. I mean, it's story, but it's not like main gameplay that's going to push the narrative. It's a lot to take in.
That's what she said.
Hey-oh. That's right. The problem is it does get overwhelming, and for every hour of gameplay, I feel like I am doing 3 or 4 hours of research on YouTube or on the Elder Scrolls subreddit or on the wiki, trying to figure out what the hell I want to do because it's a lot to take in.
I just log in and I hit things.
And you just hit, and that's fine. And honestly, you could play that way. For me, because I remember my time in World of Warcraft, and I was in a raid squad, and we would do endgame content, and I was a PvP, and we did a lot of 2-on-2 PvP, and we entered tournaments, and we would get ranked. It mattered. It doesn't seem like it matters. You know, you have 40,000 health versus 41,000 health. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but it's those little gains when you're on that top 1 or 2% that makes such a difference. And there's a really very unique way to navigate there. And that's where Elder Scrolls, I think, really shines. What I love about it, there's so many ways to play. Sorry, am I boring you?
No, I'm just tired. It's been a long day. Oh, you're totally right, dude. You're totally right. I guess it's not totally truthful when I say I'm not overwhelmed. It is overwhelming because
it is a lot.
We fought a dragon, and we've still got a ton of stuff to do. And I'm having so much fun playing with you. I don't give a shit about this storyline at all. I'm not endeared by it.
I'm not either.
This mission that we're doing, I'm doing this mission to do the mission and to like level up. I'm waiting for a quest line that I can really sink my teeth into, that I can relate to and care about. Like, yes, the Khajiit, and you know what? I don't give a fuck about the cat people in their
I've never been a Khajiit person. I will say that. It didn't bother me their plight at all.
I don't care. Not even a little bit. I can't wait to get to like Hammerfell or Skyrim or Blackmarsh. Like Blackmarsh, because it's going to be, or Valenwood. Valenwood is going to be such an alien concept because Valenwood, the cities there, are in migratory trees. So, you know, to have a city that moves around, probably not all that fast, but have cities that move around and have the local denizens just be so much different than anything I've ever interacted with in an Elder Scrolls game. I can't wait to go see that. I cannot wait to get out of this freaking desert. I can't tell you.
So one of the nice things is you can just leave. You don't have to see this through. And that's really one of the things I love about Elder Scrolls Online is that the level cap is not hard coded to each area. In World of Warcraft, in Rift, a lot of popular MMOs. I don't know if Rift is even around anymore. World of Warcraft, I mean, everybody knows that one. They'll say on the map, you want to be in this area, you need to be between level 10 and 20. You could do it at level 5, you're going to get your ass kicked. You could do it at level 40, but you're not going to get any rewards. You're going to one-shot everything. So you will typically out-level an area before you're done, and you just leave. You're just like, you know what? Good luck, and you go on to the next area. So we could totally just leave and just say, you know what? We don't care. Bye. And just go off and see what else is out there.
We could, but I think that we should see this through and finish what we started.
we gotta help the cat people. The ungrateful.
I just want to see how it ends. I want to see how it ends with Abnartharn and the dragons. That's what I care about.
See, I'm with you. I think a lot of times with these MMO stories and some of these quest lines, they are long-winded for the reasons I mentioned. Some of them have satisfying ends, some of them don't. The real treat in Warcraft, I don't know if this will be the case in Elder Scrolls. It might be. And I haven't looked purposely because I just want to be surprised. Typically in Warcraft, when you get to a major story point, you get an in-game cinematic. And you get to watch like a couple minutes of pre-recorded. Your character's not there, obviously, but whoever you're, let's say like Abner, he'll be in there doing something. You'll watch him. And that was always a real treat in Warcraft, is to see how things would end and then watch these larger-than-life heroes, which I haven't really met any yet, battle it out. You know, you set up an army and you just like watch them go off and do things. And that was always like a big rewarding treat of like everybody who was playing together. We'd beat something and we all get to sit back and watch the movie and just talk about it as we're watching it all together, you know, on our headsets.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts about the ending of Fallout New Vegas is the cinematics at the end being narrated by Mr. Ron Perlman. Yeah, War never changes. I make sure to do every single possible quest line in that game every time I play through so that the ending is as long as possible because he gives closure to every single character.
That's cool. I hope that this does this too. I don't know. I do agree with you, though, that this particular thing we're doing, I don't find particularly interesting. Even less so since I have started a separate character that, I mean, you and I play together, and the healer I have only plays when you're on. I have a separate character that's making more like tank, so I get to do all this shit twice. And it's definitely not any more fun the second time. Now, I'm doing a lot more side quests the second time around. I'm not really getting a lot in the way of rewards, getting a lot of experience, which is nice, and just kind of learning the system, but it's not really pushing the story. And you typically find in MMOs, the people you're helping are just helpless, and they're just nameless, faceless. They come running up to you, hey, hero, will you help me? And you're like, okay, you know, and then you go. And just as soon as you're introduced to them, you're gone. So I don't know if I'm curious for you, somebody who's more used to like a single player, long burnout narrative that's many hours with many characters repeating and, you know, you see an arc through to the end. I'm curious what you think about MMOs in a month or two when we wrap up this storyline and we go on to the next one. You might just say, well, it's fun to go around and smash crap with you, but it's not an Elder Scrolls game in the sense of a good, rich story.
I think the story will be there. And you know what? Things could be different, Jim. Yeah. Skyrim was a fantastic story, and it had a lot of cool, also really cool small like sub stories, like the Thieves Guild and stuff like that. So, but you know what? Different things can be good too. So I'm waiting. I'm just waiting to find. I'm waiting to find the narrative or the story that I care about. You know, it may take us a couple of different, you know, territories or countries or provinces or whatever you want to call it, but. We may have to work our way across all of Tamriel before I find a storyline that I absolutely fall in love with that I remember and can't wait to talk about on this video. But right now, the cat people, it ain't it. I'm just learning the game with you, taking it a day at a time and going through the quests and getting used to the mechanics of the game. And when we're done with this, I probably won't look back on it that fondly, but that's okay.
I think I'm really curious to see your opinion now that we're getting close to level 10, unlocking battlegrounds, unlocking dungeons. Those to me are more of the premier content. To me, I've always felt that way. I think back on my years of Warcraft, and the memories that I have the most were definitely a couple of the end raids in particular, but some of the battlegrounds and just some of the heroic feats that I did just by running around with my friends trying to kill other people and clutch wins, clutch victories. That was always really cool to me.
Yeah. I'm level 10, so we just have to wait for your healer to be level 10, and then we can go and we can try that out.
We will, and I'm excited for it. So the last thing I wanted to talk about Elder Scrolls, and this is something that I hate, and this is, I think, how we started talking about just Bethesda games in general, was I think this game runs like shit. I mean, it runs bad. And I have an Xbox One X. You're running it on the OG Xbox. What do you think of the performance of this game?
For what it is, I was expecting a lot more lag, but there is a lot to be desired. I like it when anytime we leave a town, like the first half mile after we leave a town, my like Rot or whatever my mount is, my tiger mount is just like skipping all over the place, and you're here, there, and everywhere, and I'm trying to follow you, and suddenly you're behind me. That kind of sucks. And then like the gaming mechanics, like when there's too many people involved in the fight. Mine kind of chops or lags. There's some latency issues too. So there's a lot to be decided. I think when we start playing it on the Xbox Series X, there'll be a lot more there.
What an incredible segue. It was almost like you planned that, because I was getting ready to mention that, and we've talked about this, I'm not dying to get the Xbox Series X. However, if Elder Scrolls runs well, maybe?
I've
Because
said this 3 videos in a row.
I know.
You will have the Xbox Series X. You will have it on launch day. There's no way you would do that to me. There's no way that you would go and let me buy the Xbox Series X and have no one to play with. You just wouldn't do that, Jim.
If it's on PC, it doesn't matter, because it'll run 1,000 times better on my computer, where I can run 3 copies of the game side by side without issue.
Oh, I'm Jim, and I have a really fancy computer, and I work for the government.
What did that come from? What does that mean? Anything? Yeah, that's right. Technically accurate. Okay, so we talked about this. So I guess we agree Elder Scrolls is cool. Maybe we need a little more time invested in it to be definitive, but onto the Series X specifically. A couple nights ago, you told me you had to go to bed early because you had a big meeting or a big something the next morning, and you're like, I got to go to bed. And I said, okay, bye. And then the text began. Novels. And I read every word. I want you to know. I loved it and I appreciated it. I'm like, are you going to bed or what? Like, you wrote essays on the Series X and your vision for the future of Series X, which I don't think I ever asked you. Would you say you're an Xbox fanboy? I would say I'm a PlayStation fanboy. What do you identify as? Are you just neutral?
Just a gamer. My first ever console was a Nintendo. We were extremely fortunate the first year that the original PlayStation came out. My grandmother, we were living in North Carolina, and we had no idea it was coming. A couple days before Christmas, she sent us the original PlayStation with that demo disc that had Lara Croft Tomb Raider on it.
Oh, yeah.
And I just, I fell in love with PlayStation. I have a deep love for Nintendo, Sega. I mean, the Dreamcast and Crazy Taxi. Playing Crazy Taxi on Dreamcast are some of my fondest memories ever.
Did you play Power Stone for Dreamcast?
Power what?
Power Stone.
No.
It was kind of like Smash Brothers. Never played. I don't know why people don't remember that game. That was my favorite Dreamcast game. Power Stone 2 specifically.
My favorite console of all time is the Nintendo 64. So if I was a fanboy of anything, I'd say it's probably Nintendo. But in the war between PlayStation and Xbox, if I'm being completely honest,
yes,
if I only have one, knowing what I know now about both of them, which is not very much because not a whole lot of people know a whole lot, I will go with the Xbox.
Why?
Because I like what they're doing with backward and forward compatibility. Buy it once, played across, buy it once, played across the whole spectrum of consoles. I'm into that, and I feel like that's such a power move.
The fact that they can pull that off. I mean, I remember when the first announcement came out, I really didn't think much of it because I didn't care about 360 games. But as I've thought about it more, and wait, what 360 games do you still currently play?
Fable 3.
Fable. Did you like all the Fable games? Just 3. Okay. It's gonna be a long show, Phil.
Also, Fallout New Vegas. I play it once every 3 months. Fallout 3. Grand Theft Auto 3. Grand Theft Auto 4.
Because I appreciate your passion and your enthusiasm so much, I have really tried hard to get into Fallout New Vegas. And it just does not look good.
It's okay. It doesn't look good. It doesn't, especially on the ridiculous hardware you run.
Yeah, and I feel like it needs something. I get it's an older game. I get it. The open world is limited based on today's standards. It just doesn't run well. The aiming just seems very blocky. I just have a hard time maneuvering my. That's why I went when I did the Jason machete build, only because melee was the only damn thing I could do.
You need to get into the practice of using VATS. The VATS system for New
Yeah.
Vegas is not to be punny, but vastly different than Fallout 4 or Fallout. Well, it's pretty on par with Fallout 3, but the VAT system makes the game super intuitive. But you're right, it looks blocky, it looks like crap, but the story is so powerful, and I love the characters so much, and it's just 19. I remember the summer of 2009. I was just playing that game and hanging out with friends, and just I have an emotional tie to it. So I can see past that. You came into it 11 years later with
Yeah.
the most ridiculous hardware. You've got the top of the line everything. You work very hard, so it's not a big deal. You should be very proud of the fact that you've got all this great stuff. But an 11-year-old game that was never meant for anything like what you've got set up.
Doesn't look
It's never meant for any of that. It was
No.
made for the Xbox 360 and all of its limitations. Okay? So that's an unfair comparison, but I understand and I won't hold it against you. If you said right now you absolutely hated it and you would never play it again, I would understand.
I keep dabbling in it, and it's similar to how we were talking about Elder Scrolls and that generational jump. I'm a huge fan of Xbox's customer loyalty, or really being pro-consumer, I guess, more than anything. Saying your old hardware will carry over, your controllers will work just fine, your hard drives, everything, bring it with you. They announced that, like, my Astro headphones, they have an optical connection that connects into the back of the console to transmit audio. They said, we are aware that the new Series X does not have an optical port. We are working with Astro. We will come up with the solution for you guys. So just little things like that. And I hear it constantly drip fed of, like, the great things they're doing. It's hard not to root for them because they are doing, like, everything right. Really, they are. No doubt about it. I think where my biggest hesitation is, and specifically with the Series X, I still haven't really been wowed by any game in a really long time outside of, like, Halo and Gears, that just blew me away, that, like, I had to have. And I don't see that for this next generation. I hope I'm wrong, but I haven't seen it yet.
Do you still like the original Gears?
I do. I still I have all of the Gears installed on my Xbox. Once I ordered a new hard drive because actually I started playing them on PC instead, and I will definitely replay through Gears Ultimate Edition when I get my new hard drive because I love it that much. I
If
probably played
Ultimate
through that game
Edition,
a
if
dozen
Ultimate
times.
Edition didn't exist, would you still go back and play Gears 1?
No, it just doesn't look that good. I'd probably still play, like, Gears 5 maybe, but in a similar way with you, the story of Gears is kind of dopey. It's the memories I have playing it with other people.
Yeah.
Gears 3 was really my first online game with people. Doing horde mode with friends. We had a group. We would log, and people I never met. We would log in every day. We'd do a party chat. We'd all talk together. We'd play. I got to know people without ever physically seeing them through Gears. So that was like my vessel to online, really competitive gameplay. But those days are gone. Those people are long gone. And Gears, as of itself, just isn't that really exciting anymore. It doesn't wow me.
Well, you're a slave to your own vanity, and that's fine. And I'm not. I am extremely sentimental, and I get accused of that all the time by my wife. She is the least sentimental person in the entire world. I caught her trying to throw out, like, the stuff from our wedding, like she had big blown up pictures of our wedding parties that were framed,
Right.
and, like, quotes and pictures. She's gonna throw it all away. So I took it back off the curb and I yelled at her. It's like, what are you doing throwing this out without telling me? She's like, it's junk. We're not gonna. What are you gonna do with it? You gonna hang it in your office? Maybe. And it's gonna sit in the garage for another year until I go away for a week and she throws it out, and I'll never ask or think about it.
Well, I will say you are, the fact that you play Skyrim on Switch, that is dedication, because that game runs like ass on Switch, and you have logged probably more hours in that than most people have in their Skyrim careers. So I definitely agree with you that when you find something, you will overlook all the negative to really enjoy that moment.
You know, how many things in life do we find, Jim, that genuinely bring us joy and happiness? You find that thing, and
That's true.
it's like a comforting television show. There's certain television shows when I'm bored or I don't feel like being emotionally invested in trying to start a new show, which sounds very dramatic, but there's a few that I fall back on. 30 Rock, The Sopranos,
Sopranos, yes, me too.
you know, they're like Top Gear UK and now the Grand Tour, Jeremy Clarkson and those guys. It sounds lame, but I've been watching Top Gear, the guys from Top Gear since I was 13 years old. They feel like friends. They feel like old friends.
I
So when I find something that makes me happy, I don't, I don't shelf it that easily.
it's funny you say that because when we started going through this quarantine, and it was definitely hard for me. I think it was a lot of people. It still is. That's what she said. It's weird because one day Howard Stern announced he was coming back and he was going to try to do like a Zoom show from his house. And that was like, I remember listening to the show. The quality was horrible, but I was like, thank you, because I've been listening to Stern since I've been a teenager back in high school. Back in middle school, I was listening to him on the radio. So I get what you're saying about there's certain connections you have to things or people or shows that just feels right. So I guess I understand that. I don't know. For me, really, with the port over, the jump over to the Series X in general, if these games do somehow become available on computer, I think that's my biggest reservation. I feel like there's no way it's going to look nearly as good as it will on this computer. And I don't. There's no title that. I guess I need to see Halo. I guess that's really going to determine it. Just show me Halo Infinite gameplay, which I think they're going to do in July, and I might eat my words. Roll your eyes. You have it all figured out, don't you, Phil?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not wrong all that often, my friend.
just in this hour of discussion. So, okay, so you're telling me you're getting a Series X on launch. Day one, you're there.
Yeah, but I'm gonna get the PS5 on launch day too. I always do.
Do you think going forward, since we haven't really talked about it much here, what are your thoughts on PlayStation's lack of marketing?
You know, PlayStation's one of those things where I don't think that they have to market. I think PlayStation has captured the minds and imaginations of so many young men and women for decades now that I could go up to my how old's my mom? It's not important how old my mom is. God forbid she ever watched this and she found I was telling people how old she was. Let's just say that I was a late in life baby. She had me when she was 40. So my mom is, not the usual mom age. I could go up to her and say, Mom, do you want to play a PlayStation game with me? And she would say, yes. Go get your PlayStation and let's play Frogger. PlayStation doesn't have to market to anyone because PlayStation already owns a piece of somebody's heart. 8 out of 10 people have a place in their heart for Sony or PlayStation from the last, I'll dare to say, 4 or 5 generations. So I don't think that they have to market. And I know that they're going to put out an absolutely quality product. I know that their first-party games and their exclusives are going to be top-notch. I know that their controller is probably going to be pretty cool. Everything about the experience is going to be pleasant. That's why I always buy one.
Yeah, I think you're right on the sense of the nostalgia factor. Just like you were saying how there's games that you play, your soul food games, you play Fallout New Vegas every couple months, you rewatch old TV shows, whatever. That's definitely for me with PlayStation. I remember the first time I ever played a PlayStation at my friend Jason's sleepover. We stayed up all night playing Road Rash. I mean, all night. Because we never seen
Road Rash, dude.
We love Road Rash. Yeah, we played with her name was Cindy or Cynthia. She was kind of weird looking. But I remember that was the first game that had that I could remember. There were probably others that had a real soundtrack behind them, and it was a lot of it was Soundgarden. And Soundgarden is Chris Cornell is like my favorite musician ever. I cried like a baby when he died. I just like, to me, that's my childhood in like a nutshell. Like PlayStation, just that nostalgia, those memories, stupid things that really don't mean much anymore, but it's that undying brand loyalty I think that you're talking about. And I agree with you. It'll be interesting when Sony finally does pull back the curtain for everybody else, because I'm sure there are a lot of people who are truly in love with Sony just because. But I'm also really curious to see when they actually do advertise and we can compare between what Microsoft is doing and what Sony does. I think it'll be interesting to look at it, try to look at it from a non-biased perspective. I won't be able to, but to try to look at it from a non-biased perspective to see kind of what they're actually going to show. Because this silence is deafening. It really is.
I'm sure that they'll come up with something good. It's funny that you mentioned the whole Soundgarden thing. The whole reason that I am such a fan of heavy metal and guitar-based music is actually because of a PlayStation game called Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal's soundtrack had Rob Zombie in it.
Yes,
and I remember thinking, what is this? And then you can actually see what song was playing, or there's like a track list in like the little booklet that used to come in that flimsy plastic case, and it was Rob Zombie, Dragula.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God. And that is the moment that I fell in love with heavy metal, and it's progressed to
That's
some
awesome.
really weird, dark stuff. But my love of music spawns directly from the game Twisted Metal.
Did you have a favorite character in Twisted Metal? And why was it Darkseid?
It was actually Axel.
Axel, he was he was kind of weird. He had like, his body was the car. Like he had big giant tires on each side, and he was like,
he was the toughest sumbitch. I mean, because he's just like when Eric Bana, or not Eric Bana, Mark Ruffalo, his portrayal of the Hulk, you know, I'm like one big nerve. I'm out there. I don't have any armor to protect me. That's Axel, you know. He's getting sweet tooths. He's getting sweet tooths like napalm covered all over his body. And he's
just holding.
I'm fine. This is fine. And I really enjoyed playing as Sweet Tooth because she's just so sadistic. And which one was the 18-wheeler? Was that
Darkseid was the one that I was talking about. Yeah, the big semi-truck. Yeah, that was my favorite.
So those three were definitely my favorite. Spectre every once in a while. Spectre was kind of lame.
The guy who actually, I'm looking it up on the wiki, I didn't remember this. I did remember Darkseid. Darkseid was actually the vehicle. The driver was named Mr. Ash, but whatever. He's a demon. Doesn't matter. They're all demons, I think. Do you think... Okay, so if PlayStation comes out and says, hey, look, we were talking about backward compatibility, but we're not doing it. We don't care. If you want to have your PlayStation 4 games, you have PlayStation 4. We're gonna just stick to PlayStation 5 titles and beyond. How much do you think that's really going to hurt them, considering Microsoft has been so pro-consumer?
Not at all.
Do you think that nostalgia is just so powerful? It really doesn't matter how anti-consumer friendly they are. People are just in love with the sacred symbols.
People love PlayStation, and people have brand faith and brand confidence. And also, you can't fault a big brand like that for saying, listen, we understand, but you have your old games and you have your old hardware, and when you're ready to take that out and dust it off and play it, that's great. But we're focused on innovation and ushering in the next generation of console gaming. And whatever's Sony's iteration of that is, you know it's going to be a quality product. I just think that Xbox's focus on innovation, and the innovation is, in and of itself, the backwards and the forwards compatibility. That is a legitimate innovation.
Agreed.
I think what they're doing, making it more like a computer and less like a console, I think that's a huge step forward. I think they're going to do more with cloud integration. That's going to be a huge step forward. So they're both innovating. They're just going to innovate in different ways. But my point here is that they're both innovating and they're both going to do great things. But Xbox is also going to have backwards and forwards compatibility, and I think that's going to set them over the edge for a lot of people.
It'll be interesting to see them getting their message out so early and so often with the Inside Xbox, and just the amount of showing the hardware back in December of last year. The Elite controller, the new hardware, everything they just keep constantly. Here's what we're working on. it is hard to dismiss that they're a real threat or like a real force. Where I feel like when the Xbox One was coming out, everybody, at least I did, just groaned, and I was like, "Oh, this is just a horrible idea from the beginning." People aren't saying that about the Series X anymore. I think people are really invested and really like, yes, yes, everything they're saying is awesome. And minus some presentation issues here and there, they have absolutely nailed that message that they want your money. So I'm excited. As a Sony guy, I want competition. I want to see Sony real because that's when it's going to drive that creative spark, which, PlayStation gets fat, dumb, and happy. They start making crap stuff. I want there to be a Microsoft out there to say, you know what, we're going to do it better. I like that.
Okay. I respect that.
I'm glad you respect that, Phil. And I respect that you respect that.
I respect you, bro. I respect you too, bro.
So last brief topic, and then we'll wrap this up. I'm very excited. I know I've said this to you privately many times, but I want it to be on the record. I am incredibly excited that you bought some headphones.
Yes. It's funny because yesterday I actually, my closest male friend that lives here, I talked him into buying an Xbox One X bundle.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I talked him into getting Red Dead Redemption so we could play online because he was like, I'm getting sick of this quarantine. He's an attorney. He's in his 40s. He's very intelligent. He's not a gamer. He's never had a video game system at all. But I told him, you'd have a lot of fun playing video games. And he asked me, what do I think he should get? So I pointed him towards the deal that Best Buy has right now with their Xbox One X bundle. And he's like, what else do I need? I was like, buy Red Dead Redemption. He's like, is there anything else? I was like, you know what? Yeah, you need a pair of headphones so we can play online. And he's like, which ones do I buy? I'm like, what's your budget? He's like, doesn't matter. So I hooked him up with some Corsairs.
Look at you. This warms my heart in 1,000 different ways because it's like I've watched you grow as a man and a gamer. You've now carried it forward to the next generation. And he's going to tell his buddy, who's going to tell his buddy, and I'm so proud. Like, I'm a proud father. I don't even know this guy. I don't even know what's his name. What's his name? Blake. Thank you, Blake. Take the light that I have lit in Phil that he now lights in you and carry it on, young man.
I already loved video games. What are you talking about?
You didn't want it. I'm just so happy. Really, more than anything, I'm just happy you got headphones because it's going to make my life considerably easier now. Do you think Blake will get into Elder Scroll with us?
I got to introduce him to video games as a concept first.
Oh, so oh no, is he going to be one of these who like aims up and aims down? Like, he doesn't know like up from down.
Hey,
okay.
You were there once too, all right?
Listen, I respect people who take the plunge. That's awesome. And I'm eager to hear from you what he thinks about these things. Because the only thing I would say, the really down step, is introducing him to Red Dead Redemption as a first game. Because that's some boring shit.
Yeah, but listen, it's relatable and it's palatable. Like, I can't start him out with Halo. Like, where are we? We're
agreed.
Like, he understands the core concept of being a cowboy and guns, and like, I'm going to take him to a field and we're going to find some random guy that's riding by on his horse and we're going to shoot him. And he's going to laugh and he's going to think it's the greatest thing in the world because I know how he is. He's my closest male friend that lives here locally. I know how he is. I know what he's going to want, and that's what we're going to do. And he's going to fall in love with it, and then we're going to explore the things.
And then 3 hours later, when he's 20 feet away, because it took him an hour and a half of this slow animation of Arthur Morgan walking real slow through the forest, he's going to like, when does the action pick up? And you're like, it doesn't, brother. It doesn't.
Hey, how's Wastelanders going?
I haven't played it. I haven't installed it. I ran out of hard drive space. The helmet's really cool. That's why I bought it.
Oh my god, I bought it for the helmet.
It's free to play this weekend. You said you didn't want to play it with me. You said you were busy. I would download it just to show you how cool it is. You would change your mind. You would, if you got a PC. I know this is a lot of ifs, a lot of conditionals, so we're going way down tangent of tangents here. If you had a gaming PC and you could see my base, your mind would be blown. Actually, I made a YouTube video about it a long, long time ago. You would be like, "This is the coolest shit. I want that." Because when you build it and you own it and people come to check it out, it is a lot of fun.
All done? We done?
We're done here. Is there anything else in closing you'd like to say as we wrap up the third episode? This is now becoming a habit. This is good. I like this.
Yeah, we're going to try to do it every week, buddy, except for the weeks that I'm on vacation or you're on vacation, I'm sure.
All right. Is there anything you want to say to the dozen of people who watch this?
To the dozen of people, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Xbox is best. Go get Elder Scrolls Online. Don't feed Jim. And war never changes.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, we will see you guys on the other side.